Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Cut to the Chase Sports Podcast. I am your host, Chase Yantz. My co-host, Brady King, cannot be here tonight. He's feeling a little under the weather, so, hopefully Brady can get better. If he's watching, uh, get well soon. So, in place tonight, for my compadre Brady is another compadre of mine, Ben Connors, Bengals fan. What is up?
What's going on, Chase? Yeah, Bengals fan. Real excited this week. Real excited. Fired up, to say the least.
Definitely, man. And, we were just talking earlier about how Paul Brown Stadium just sold out for the game on Thursday, 65,000 strong coming in on Saturday afternoon. So, it's going to be so exciting. The games on NBC and all that. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But you excited to talk about some playoff football, Ben?
I'm so excited. Let's get to it.
All right, well, let's hop to our team. This is the first game of the playoffs, and can be a little nerve-wracking with the fact that we're kicking off the playoffs, but also, if we win this game, then the city and all of the fans all over the place are going to be. I don't even know what to describe it as, but yes, I mean, Raiders, Bengals, both teams are 10-7. The game's at 4:30 on NBC and Peacock. I'm going to start off with you. What do you think some of the keys are to the Bengals' success against the Raiders?
Keys to the success. I would definitely say we'll start off with QB. Burrow just has to play similar to how he has the last couple weeks. As you sent me earlier this week, he is undefeated and no interceptions in games like this, in games where the season will end if they don't win. So as long as he does this thing, we should be good there. Some other keys to success, definitely getting Jamar open, which hasn't been a problem.
Mm-hmm.
I think utilizing Mixon as much as possible. The only thing we really struggle with a lot in the run game this season would be when Mixon's hot, we tend to kind of go heavy with him and then kind of forget the other areas, and vice versa. We need to mix it very well together.
There you go.
So that's my only thing on offense. And then the defense has played pretty solid lately, especially against the Chiefs, the Ravens game, and everybody should be healthy. I think the only other thing too is I really hope this off week doesn't end up being a negative and everybody's still just as fired up as they were against the Chiefs.
Exactly. And, thinking about that off week and everything, like it can do you so much good when it comes to being rested and all that. Cause Cincinnati just basically played. I mean, we've talked about it before, really 3 or 4 playoff games in a row in the regular season to try to get what they needed to get accomplished. And, that week off, especially for Joe Burrow, I bet has been nice, with the little tweaked knee. And he's been dogging almost 1,000 yards passing. You've heard that on every major network over the last week or two. I mean, it's been unbelievable. But yeah, that bye week, that's a very critical point right there because, reports are saying the team has come out pretty fired up in practice. They've been, jumping around, a little more pep to their step and all that. You can go follow at Bengals Drake if you want to see all that stuff. He's a pretty reliable source right there. Drake Burton. But so my keys to success as well, they're pretty similar to what yours are. I mean, number one is the quarterback, Joe Burrow. I mean, he's just got to be on. He's got to have time, but we got to protect him. I mean, one of the notes right here, Burrow is one of the, he's one of the best quarterbacks in football when he gets the ball out of his hands in 2.5 seconds or less. That's a next gen stat right there. But give him a clean pocket and he's able to deal the football to playmakers. Like, we've got the best receiving core in the National Football League, and I don't think we can really argue that.
Hands down. No more debates. We're going to show it in the playoffs.
Exactly. We got to get out there. We've got to win on the outside. Honestly, the Raiders, though, on defense, they don't give up a whole lot of big plays and all that. But we saw what Joe Mixon was able to do in Week 11. So, the Raiders are really going to have to pick their poison. But, it all comes to protecting the quarterback. If we protect the quarterback, I have so much confidence on offense and being able, to do so many things, so many good things on Saturday. But then jumping out early and often, the Raiders do play a lot of cover 3, but the Bengals are able to beat you in so many ways. Just as we said, we got to get everybody involved. It's such a it's such a thing. We have to establish it though. We've got to establish one thing or another. And honestly, I think we got to take some shots early. We got to test this Raiders defense a little bit, but be opportunistic, not being overly aggressive, trying to force a play, but being opportunistic and seeing a breakage in play and taking a shot downfield. And then on defense, I would say pressure Derek Carr. He has been pretty good against the blitz all year, and he's been good stepping up in the pocket. But this is his first playoff game. The crowd is going to be huge. Frustrate Derek Carr on the field, and then the crowd's going to do their job, surrounding him. Carr has been able to make a lot of deep shots this year, and as said, pressure is not that big of a problem. But coverage from Cincinnati against Raiders defense will be critical because I think we can cover most of those guys. But the tight end problem, Darren Waller, right there, we've historically had a problem with tight ends, and he went for 7 catches for 116 yards the last time we played against him, and that was the last full game he played healthy until Sunday night.
I 100% agree with that. Yeah. And what you were saying too, the Raiders D, as we saw compared to the Chargers game, might have given up a lot of points, but they were solid. They were pretty solid throughout the game. And even in overtime, they kept the pressure, and which inevitably won them the game. So it's no joke. It's not going to be an easy game by any means. And I'm very superstitious. So I'm giving the Raiders all the credit. Carr, everything they've overcome this season is amazing. I just hope it stops in Cincinnati on Saturday.
Sure hope it does too. I hope that cold kind of gears down the red hot Raiders right there and just, freezes them up. But, the crowd's going to be so big. Third down is going to be electric. We got to result in sacks and takeaways and make Derek Carr just look like a chicken with his head cut off with his hair on fire, as we all know. Sid from Toy Story. But yeah, I'll kind of, we got to give the Raiders their praise. I'll look at some of the keys to success for them. Obviously, the number one thing is probably going to be get after Joe Burrow. I mean, the pressure that the Raiders are able to send with Max Crosby and Yannick Ngakoue, and they're able to to honestly bull rush a ton of tackles and all that stuff. And the matchup of the game is going to be Isaiah Prince versus Max Crosby. So, I mean, it's, Isaiah Prince, if you're somehow listening to this, you're going to have to be on your A game, and you might be the reason we win this game on Saturday. But
amen to that.
Mm-hmm. And then, another thing, they've been running the football pretty well. Josh Jacobs has gotten healthier. I remember he had a rib injury or so. But the offensive line has been, pretty good in the run game with a little more push and all that stuff as the season has winded down. But they're able to find these running games, these running lanes, and then that'll kind of cause the Bengals to stack the box and load it up a little bit. And that just would allow Darren Waller to, make plays over the middle and all that. So, the Raiders have been pretty good at running the football, setting up the pass. Normally they'd be throwing the ball to set up the run. So they've kind of did a little switcheroo right there. And number 3, which is the number one thing on defense, though, no lapses in coverage. They're the big play Bengals for a reason. I hope they lapse in coverage so much. I hope we're able to. I mean, I still think we can beat them off the rip, but the Raiders still haven't given up many big plays overall. I think they've only given up 10 yards per catch this entire season, or for a certain period of time, which is, most receivers in the NFL average about 15 yards a catch. So they've been pretty good tackling defensive backs the entire year. And, I've mentioned cover 3 before. I mean, they're going to be taking away any type of deep shot and all that stuff. But a broken coverage, I mean, that could be a long day for them, and we would love to see that in our favor.
We would absolutely love to see that. And with what you just said, what we saw from the Chargers game, we might be able to push it on 3rd and 4th if it comes to it, because that was the one thing the Raiders could not do in that game. I think Herbert had it had to be around, honestly, 5 to 7 fourth quarter and overtime first downs off of 4th down.
Yeah.
I think Zach Taylor will call that if needed. Hopefully we don't get to that point, but I think he'll push it even if it's 2nd, 3rd quarter. If we need the first down, it's 4th and 5. I see him going for it based off that.
Definitely. That is something to look at because, in the Raiders, when it comes to crunch time and it comes, to critical downs and situations, I mean, coaches all look at that stuff. They're going to look at how the Raiders, how they play in coverage and look at holes and stuff like that. And the Chargers are a very talented group, but Cincinnati's receiving core and their group as a whole is honestly one of the most talented in football. We've already covered that and all that stuff. But I mean, like that type of stuff can win or lose games right there. And I think Cincinnati feels confident that they can convert on fourth down. They've done pretty well overall this year when it's been a passing on fourth down overall and giving Joe Burrow some time. So that's going to be very interesting to keep up with. We'll get back to picks, later on in the show and all that stuff, but we're going to kind of roll things into the second game of the doubleheader on Saturday, the Patriots and the Bills. Okay, so obviously our eyes are gonna be focused on this Bengals Raiders game. But I mean, if we win on Saturday, one hell of a game to look at right there with a 3-6 matchup.
Yeah, no, that one we're going to be looking at, especially if the fourth quarter things are looking good for us. We're definitely going to tune into that because I would much rather play the Patriots, ironically, than the Bills. Honestly, at this point, I think how we match up with the Patriots would be better. Um, but yeah, it's going to be one hell of a game either
It
way.
definitely is. And for the Bills, obviously everybody knows, Josh Allen being able to throw the ball down the field and extend time in the pocket and make plays. The Patriots as a run first team, they're gonna try to they're gonna try to like bog you down on defense and play very aggressive upfront football. So some keys to this game that I was able to take away is like before early on in his career with let things open up for Josh Allen, that would be a bit of a mistake. He would sail balls over people's heads. He would be very inaccurate. He would throw Aroldis Chapman fastballs into receivers' chest and, be a bunch of tip ball interceptions. But now it's a totally different story. Josh Allen has matured. Open it up for Josh Allen. Let him do his thing. Let him get out of the pocket and try to make some plays down the field. And another thing is, it's not just Josh Allen. When they've been able to run the football, they've been so effective. Devin Singletary and Zach Moss is a running back duo right there, trying to establish himself up front and through running lanes is going to be huge against a Patriots run defense that has been particularly pretty well this year and trying to break this game open, especially at home with the crowd on their side. And then I also see on defense, the Bills have a great defense. I think we all know that. Actually, a lot of people don't know that. They have they're number one in yards per game allowed this year. Pass defense, they're very, very good. Number one in that category as well. They're up there. Leslie Frazier, Sean McDermott, they've done a very good job in keeping that secondary in check this year.
I agree. I agree. And as you just said, I saw that stat today. It said 1-1-1-1-1-1. Every single defensive stat you want, Bills have it. So I think we'll see a similar game to last game where they just played each other. Weird how that works. But I think the Patriots are going to come out, one, pissed off, and two,
Yes.
I think they're going to come out firing on all cylinders. I think Mac Jones in his first playoff game will be something to watch. And, and like we've been talking about in the chat all this week, you don't want to play Belichick in the playoffs. Anything you think he's going to do, he'll do the opposite. Anything that you think he'll do the opposite of, he'll do what he should have done.
Exactly.
And so I think that's what they really have going for him. Weather won't be, I'm just trying to think anything outside the box. Weather, they both play up there, up northeast, so that shouldn't be a problem. But I'm thinking for the Patriots side, what they can do. The only weakness I've really seen the Bills all season was that Colts game where they just let JT run wild. But most teams let JT run wild. So
that's
everything
true.
on defense, the Bills is good, all good on there.
And the Patriots, they have a pretty good running back in Damian Harris themselves. I mean, they've, when they played each other in Buffalo on that windy Monday Night Football game that, Bills fans will find so forgettable. Damian Harris had the biggest play of the game. He had a 70-yard touchdown. I think he ended up getting hurt later on in that game, but even the second matchup, he had 3 rushing touchdowns. He is the X factor in this game, but Mac Jones will be the one that makes or breaks this game. He's got to play game manager, make throws when needed to be. Overall, if the Patriots are able to get enough push on the line of scrimmage, and that's going to be the Bills' number one key as well on defense. They're going to have to fool the rookie in man and zone coverages and make Mac think something's there, but an illusion's there. And Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer, and they're all there and they're all making plays on it. That's going to be a huge thing if Mac Jones is able to elevate his game and elevate his thinking, to see through coverages and to make the right play and buy time in the pocket. So this, that Patriots Bills game is going to be one to watch, especially as a division showdown right there. Part three to say the least.
I know, it's crazy how that works. Yeah, Hyde and Poyer can literally just be in a bush and they come out of nowhere. So if Mac is going to need to keep his eyes on them, that's for sure.
Definitely. And, with the Patriots on defense, they've got a pretty good pass rusher and Matt Judon trying to, get some pressure and, make Josh Allen make some stupid decisions overall. And then, as you say, Bill Belichick, obviously you never want to play Bill Belichick in the playoffs, especially in Foxborough. They're not in Foxborough. I think I was thinking of this in my mind while I was driving back to school one day. You ever think about this? Bill Belichick, as a head coach, has never coached in a road wildcard game, ever.
Really? I did not know that. That is crazy.
I was thinking back the entire time of his tenure as the Patriots head coach. There was games where he played road divisional games. Back even with the Browns, he went to the playoffs one time and played a home wildcard game. But through the recollection, he's never coached in a road wildcard game before as a head coach.
Wow. Especially because think about damn near 20 years straight of making the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And besides that one Brady hurt season and last year, besides those, since 2000, every year they've been in the playoffs, and you just never thought maybe they never just got a low enough wild card to be away. That's crazy.
That's unbelievable.
I did not know that.
Talk about consistency there and just domination. Dominating your division and just doing all that.
Wow. I did not know. That's insane.
It's unbelievable. And, but one thing is they're going to be on the road, so they're going to have to eliminate Stephon Diggs. When you look at the entire thing, the weather eliminated Stephon Diggs the first matchup. The weather eliminated all Bills receivers the first matchup. But the second time, Josh Allen was able to spread the wealth to Isaiah McKenzie, Emmanuel Sanders, Stephon Diggs. But I think if you shut down one guy, the Patriots have a good enough secondary, to make plays overall on some of these other receivers and keep things in front of them. But, that's going to be a big matchup right there with Stephon Diggs and J.C. Jackson, who has been one of the best corners in football this entire season.
I like watching him. Yeah, he is really showing out.
Yeah, I haven't, I've watched a couple Patriots games here and there this year. They've been on national television a couple times this year, but we're going to see a lot of them next year for sure. And we actually play them in Foxborough. So that's going to be something to look at that in the offseason. But yeah, Patriots Bills going to be one heck of a game. We'll get to that pick in a little bit. But the Sunday slate of action, a team that we all know and the Patriots know very well. They know this guy very well. Tom Brady and the Bucs welcome in Jalen Hurts and the Eagles to Tampa. And, before I say this, I haven't seen many Eagles games myself this year. Besides, I think maybe the 2 times they played on ESPN this year against the Cowboys, and the Cowboys just had their way with them. So obviously the thought of the Eagles has been a little skewed overall. But who is this Eagles team? Have you gotten a chance to look at them this year?
I've looked at them a couple times. I was just going to say, when it comes to their identity, honestly, I match their record with it, because I feel like every time you watch the Eagles, you're getting a different team. And if 9-8 making it to the playoffs doesn't show that, I've checked them out on those Cowboys games. I peeped those. Those showed me a lot. But then I've also seen them against the Redskins. I was at the Butler Bar down the road, and I was watching them, and they just looked pretty solid against the Redskins. The Redskins did have that backup in, But Jalen Hurts, I've watched since college. I've always liked him. I think he's one of the best competitors in the NFL. I know he has a lot of things to prove, but to find an identity for this Eagles team is really hard. 9-8, squeaking into the playoffs, and and you kind of just put it all on Jalen Hurts' shoulders. I mean, you're not going to put it on Rigor or anybody else. So I can't really think of an identity. Like when you think of us, you think Burrow, Chase, wide receiver group, and then a new solid defense. With them, I really just kind of think of just Jalen, and he's just kind of out there. He does have some help. He has Rigor, but I don't really have a solid identity for these Eagles, honestly.
It's a tough thing to find though, because the Eagles this entire season have run the football pretty well overall. I think they've had about I think they had a stretch of about 6 or 7 games where they ran the ball for over 140 yards a game, which talk about getting it done and chewing up clock. But Jalen Hurts has been, honestly, I'd say the sole reason why they've gotten there. 16 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. So he's protected the football pretty well. He also has 10 rushing touchdowns this year, which is big in the red zone, and leads the team in rushing this year. It's 784 yards. And also looking at the receiving court, how about rookie Devonta Smith?
Yeah, Devontae Smith, him and Jalen have some chemistry. He's been pretty solid this season too. I just am really trying to think how they'll be besides the Jalen and Smith combination in the playoffs in college was really good. I'm just really trying to find out what they'll be. I feel like this game, honestly, is going to be similar to Tampa Bay and Washington last season, where they just came in. You didn't really know what to expect, but they played a good game. And I can see kind of Jalen maybe being like a Heineke last season in that playoff game. That's really what keeps coming to my mind. I know it's the same wild card round, so it's easy to correlate that. But that's honestly what I keep thinking. Devontae Smith, big plays in college, has a couple good ones in the NFL. They got him, Rigor. The run game's pretty solid. So I don't think it's going to be a blowout or anything by any means, but I'm really trying to figure out how the Eagles are going to go about trying to beat Tampa.
It's so interesting when you think about it. I mean, with the Eagles, they, obviously running the football has been a big thing for them, and the Bucks have been a very good, very good team in stopping the run. Obviously, they have a big guy, Vita Vea inside and all that. They've got some good defensive tackles overall. But a key to I think their success will be is elaborate on the run scheme. I mean, mix up a little bit, have a little zone concept, have some power and all that stuff off tackle. Just run it everywhere you can think of, I would say the Eagles are definitely heavily matched against the Bucks are heavily favored. This is just going to be something interesting to see overall. And I think the Eagles are also going to stick to a consistent game plan. They have a rookie head coach in Nick Sirianni, who's done a very good job in turning this thing around from last year. But obviously don't go away from what got you to the playoffs is all I'll say. They got to go out swinging one way, and they got to, be able to just consistently stay with what has gotten them there. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I like that a lot. The whole time you've been talking about that, I've been trying to think, is there any weakness that we can talk about with Tampa Bay besides AB being gone?
Yeah.
Is there honestly any weakness?
I'm not sure. This is incredible how the Bucks, obviously they still kept the same roster overall from last year. Well, everyone can, talk about that, but that's a tough thing to do to win your division like that this year, especially with all of the drama they've had to deal with AB and everything. But like said, the back end is where they actually could get beat. They've had a lot of rotations with defensive backs the entire season. No one stayed healthy. It's been injury prone from week 1 and all that stuff. My friend Dre Jones, teammate, saying that in the comments, inconsistent defense. He's very right, though. The Bucks sometimes have more holes than Swiss cheese on defense, but at the same time, they can also lock down when it matters most, like they did last year in the playoffs. The linebacking core is going to be huge when it comes to stopping the run and then playing with Jalen Hurts' eyes when he's trying to throw the football and make reads off of it. So the Bucs defense overall, they have been inconsistent. I think that they're going to step up more than what they've had this year. But on offense, when they're healthy, oh boy.
I agree. And yep, that would be the one thing I would say too about the defense, what you and Dre said. It can be inconsistent. It definitely can be.
Yep. And I mean, but that offense, though, talk about Tom Brady throwing for 5,316 yards, 43 touchdowns, 12 picks, has only been sacked 22 times this year. That's also something to look at as well. Something that Joe Burrow would love to be a part of, That offensive line up front's been playing really well. They've been protecting the quarterback. As a unit, the Bucs have run the football for, about 100 yards a game or so. I think they're gonna get Leonard Fournette back here pretty soon. I think actually this week. But playoff Lenny Fournette is something else. I mean, he was honestly one of the sole reasons why they, were able to make that Super Bowl run last year.
Yeah, he played a big part in that. He really did.
Definitely did. And, averaging 4.5 yards a carry, 8 touchdowns overall, and getting him back is going to be huge for the Bucs to be able to have 2 levels to this offense, a couple levels to this offense, and try to build upon stuff like that. But a couple of things for success for the Bucs is I would say, Leonard Fournette's back. Let the run open up the pass. They know they can pass the ball on the Eagles. I mean, they can pass the ball on virtually anybody in football. They've got the GOAT Tom Brady there. I think they're going to be all right. But I will say, Tom Brady has been very good against, consistently throughout his career. He's been very good against a lot of zone defenses. Some quarterbacks get fooled by the zones and all that stuff with how people are lined up here, and then they can just shoot, they can shoot in a zone coverage gap and all that stuff, make a play on the ball. But Tom Brady has seen about every single zone that I think has ever been invented in the entire National Football League history. Talking about the years he's been in the league, but Brady has consistently been good against zone coverage. He is able to pick apart defenses, overall. But I think the Eagles could find some success if they're able to stay, toe-to-toe with these Bucs receivers and play some aggressive man defense. If they get a couple pass interference calls, it's not the end of the world. They are heavy underdogs. But, in the playoffs, they let you play a little bit.
They do. Yeah. And I would it's unlikely, but I would love to see, the champions dethroned. It's probably not the best opinion. It's not going to be the most liked, but I would love to see something like that. I don't know if that's ever happened where no, it has, but I would love to see something like that. If the Eagles could, it'd be like a Cinderella, almost what Washington, I keep relating it back to that, but I feel like it's going to be similar to where they were right there. They didn't get it done, but they were just right there with the Bucs that first round. And I would love to see at least a close game like that again.
Definitely. And the Bucs offense that game, they got off to a fast start, but then Washington was able to kind of rally around their defense and pass rush, Chase Young when he was healthy back then, unfortunate injury to start off the season this year. But, Washington was able to, get pressure after Tom Brady. They were able, to play some aggressive man and all that stuff. And then found confidence in their quarterback. Hey, my defense is getting stops. If I keep putting points up on the board, we're going to be in this thing. The Eagles defense, they have a pretty good pass rush and, not a bad secondary. But, this is all going to come down to Jalen Hurts.
I agree.
And that defense is going to play, a pretty big trigger in that. And rolling into the next NFC game, I think, aside from our Bengals matchup, which we've discussed so many times with each other,
slightly excited for sure.
But I'm going to say this Niners Cowboys matchup has me very, very excited to watch.
I'm very excited too. Actually, right before this, right when I was scrolling on Instagram, I was looking at all their old matchups, and they were always close to those 90s and late 80s NFC championship, like I think 4 or 5 times at least, and then one in the divisional round. Cowboys winning all of them but 2, I believe. That's just one of those rivalries that isn't a rivalry for so long if one of them's bad, because it's only a rivalry in the playoffs when they get there. But when they get there, it's just, I feel like it's going to be a good game, mainly because of the history. And then also, I think the 49ers are really wanting to upset some people because I haven't seen a lot of love for them all season. They beat us in overtime, so I give them respect. But
Yep.
I haven't seen anyone super high and mighty on the 49ers all season, not the NFL pages, not the commentators. I haven't seen a lot there. And then the Cowboys, America's team, seems to always get the love from at least the NFL perspective, not the fans, obviously. So I feel like that will be a good driving point for the 49ers. A lot of people think we shouldn't be here, and we're here, and we're going to go against the Dallas Cowboys, who we've had a rivalry with for many years, and a lot of older fans are going to love seeing this be revived again, because I don't think they've played in the playoffs since sometime in the mid 90s. So it could be a revival of that.
Very well could be. And these two playing against each other on, one of the biggest stages just brings out the best in the National Football League. It helps, it just brings out the best in the league. And the fans as well. I mean, they have two very, very passionate fan bases, and they're going to be filling up that stadium at Jerry's World of like 80,000 people, and it's going to be a lot of blue and a good amount of red. I mean, the Niners took over and invaded SoFi Stadium last week.
Yes, they did. Yeah, I remember seeing a bunch of pictures with that. That is crazy. I know the Rams have kind of a identity as a more bandwagon fan base, just because the quick move to LA. And I clearly remember watching a video about 4 years when they played the Patriots in the Super Bowl, when they won the NFC Championship. It was a bunch of people at a bar in LA, and they were all just kind of like this, clapping like a little coffee shop or something like that. But I think you make a great point. I didn't even think of that. No, those Niners fans travel well. I'd say probably NFC wise, probably them and the Packers travel the best. And they are going to show out there. They're going to show up ready for an upset.
Definitely. I can't wait to watch that game. That game's going to be on CBS and Nickelodeon, by the way. Our good friend Noah Eagle will be on the call there for the Nick broadcast with Nate Burleson. Just going back, the Eagles-Bucks game will be on Fox. I think everybody knows this. If you follow football, you can see the networks and all that stuff. But man, this Cowboys-Niners game, I mean, talk about these two teams play very different styles of football on offense. The Niners run the football. They run the football with anybody. They'll run the ball. I believe Elijah Mitchell, Jeff Wilson, Deebo Samuel, we'd say. I mean,
yeah.
They put some wide receivers back there, and it's interesting to look at Deebo Samuel lined up as a tailback though. Overall, he's done a very good job. He's done a very good job this year.
Love to see him get an MVP from Nickelodeon. Another one.
And our guy Jamar's the only one that's ever done it twice in a season. But I mean, Deebo could very well be on his way to get another MVP. I still don't understand the whole Trubisky thing last year.
I have no clue how this started, but yeah, since Jamar got him, I started paying attention. But yeah, if Deebo just does what he's been doing, they got a really good shot at least at beating the Cowboys defensively. Who would it be? Diggs, Deebo lineup? Would that work out like that?
I think it would. I mean, they're gonna move Deebo a lot all over the place, but I believe that Diggs gonna have to shadow him when he gets out wide. And
That's must watch right there. That is must watch.
Definitely is. And we think about Trayvon Diggs. Leads the NFL in interceptions. I think he has 11 on the year. He does give up a lot of yards in coverage, though. So big plays for the Niners could be very big. But I want to say one thing about their offense. One thing is Deebo Samuel has 1,405 yards receiving this year, which is downright incredible, and 365 rushing yards. This is I'm looking at the stats right here. Incredible. 8 touchdown runs and 6 touchdown catches.
Yeah, with that, I think I saw something this week, and it was like last game he had a passing touchdown. If I didn't see that wrong, passing touchdown and rushing touchdown. Didn't have a receiving one. Almost had a triple threat. I don't know if that's ever happened.
I have no idea.
I mean, talk about versatile. That's more versatile than you can. No, I can't think of anyone in the league that can really do that. He's kind of like creating his own position in a way, or he's kind of filling in what they need more than anything. But yeah, he can literally do it all. Like, and he almost did every
Mhm.
category last week.
I mean, he's the real life flex position in fantasy football. That's exactly what he is. I mean, the way he's been playing, he might get that actually labeled as an actual position in the NFL.
He's everything we wanted Taysom Hill to be like a year and a
Yes,
half ago in
yes,
fantasy.
yes, yes, and has propelled them to the playoffs, and I'm very glad I had him on my fantasy team this entire.
That's
That
solid.
was that felt very nice. But looking at in the comments, Dre said Cowboys offense will have to show up. Niners have been very hot lately, and could see them giving the Cowboys defense problems. They definitely can. I mean,
They definitely can.
running the football is going to be a big thing for the 49ers. Jimmy G's actually played. He's played pretty well overall. I thought like
Been
he hasn't
better.
played. He hasn't taken them out of the game. With the run game, he's made some big throws overall. And I was getting back to the thing with the X Factor, who's really stepped up lately. Jawan Jennings had 2 touchdowns, I believe, against the Rams this past week. He's had some big catches over over the month of December and January, 5 touchdowns on the year. But he's played a lot in the slot. He's really stepped up. Jawan Jennings, just watch out for the name Sunday on the Niners offense, I'll say.
You heard it here first.
Yes. Hopefully people will remember. But yes, and then we go on to the Cowboys though. A lot of it's going to be Niners. This is going to be Niners offense versus Cowboys defense. Micah Parsons. They got DeMarcus Lawrence, Trayvon Diggs. So many pieces on their defense, but with the offense, I've done a little bit of research and a little bit of a film study breakdown on what the Niners do a whole lot of. This is from something from the Bengals when they played the Niners and what the Raiders will do to the Bengals most likely. I did a little bit of a breakdown. The Niners play, I got educated as a student of the game overall with the NFL. The Niners play this thing called a lot of mofo. What do you think about mofo at first? You think, what that means, but it's called middle of field open coverages. So they play a lot of cover 2. So they drop in a soft zone and allow more longer developing route concepts, and they barely blitz and they only send 4. Their defensive line's very good. Nick Bosa is a potential comeback player of the year, along with Dak and Joe Burrow. When you look at, and then you also have Eric Armstead as well. They're a very good team on the defensive line. They can get pressure with 4. But the Niners, they play a lot of a Tampa 2, which when Tampa 2, I'm going to try to envision this. All right. You have these 2 safeties that play up top. They're going to drop one side, it's kind of off screen right here. All right. One side here and then one side over there. And then you have a hook zone linebacker right here. So one guy's going to take here and the other guy's going to drop like right up in, right up where the 2 safeties left. So it kind of makes longer route concepts, and they kind of stack the middle of the field, and then they drop some guys on the side. So there's like literally small zones and thin lines of routes right there that you can hit. So the Niners are really going to try to slow this game downfield on defense, but they're going to try to speed things up when it comes to getting to the quarterback, which they've been so good at this year.
Now that you mention it, I didn't know it was called that, and that's awesome. But a lot of the plays against when we played them really did kind of pan out like that. Like Burrow was always under heavy pressure, and then downfield it was pretty covered, and that's why we were down 20-6 until we had that great comeback to get us into overtime.
Mm-hmm.
They had that pretty locked down. That's a really good defensive scheme. I didn't notice it much at the time, but now looking back on it, I do.
And that's when the Bengals were able to get T. Higgins over the middle a lot. You saw a lot of dig routes when T. Higgins came over about 15-yard middle, like over the middle routes and all that. And then, once he got in the 2-minute drill, the Bengals make big plays in 2-minute drill with Jamar Chase down the field, all that. We understand. We understand a lot of that. But yeah, the Niners really try to slow it down back there. And, they try to take a lot of pressure off their defensive backs because of how good their front 4 is. So that's going to be something interesting to look at because Dak Prescott has been a pretty good pocket passer, but he's been able to get out of the pocket more after that injury happened last year. But it's going to be interesting to see what version of Dak there is. Is Dak going to play a little timid with that ferocious defensive line coming on both sides of him and just collapsing the pocket? Or is Dak going to try to make some plays and, try to look for a lot of CeeDee Lamb? Amari Cooper hasn't really been involved lately. Cedric Wilson, their third receiver, has really stepped up, though, in the absence of Michael Gallup.
Yep, I had Cooper a couple games this season, and fantasy-wise, you could tell he didn't show up because the points weren't there. But I think if all that happens, like you're saying, with the defense, honestly, their best go-to is also what you said, just maybe, honestly, like CeeDee Lamb up the middle, those just first down routes, what we do kind of with Boyd and Higgins, just to keep it going, because the Niners were slowly, I'm comparing it a lot to us, but they were slowly giving up on us toward the end in the fourth quarter. They were giving us those, and that was just enough to get us back from that 14-point deficit. I think the Cowboys could do that strategically too. Dak, short passes, Zeke up the middle. I think if the 49ers do that, that's the Cowboys' only key to success, is to adapt around. That is a really good defense. I'm going to study that more after this. That's a really good defense. And I think that's their key to success, honestly, doing similar to what Higgins did, and then just using Zeke wherever they'll give, because that defense for three quarters when we played them, we were virtually not even in the game.
Exactly. And that pressure that the Niners are able to get with their front four and keeping things in front of them, they're a good tackling football team. But if the Cowboys are able to, consistently get, 5-6 yards of play, try to keep ahead of the sticks, then the Cowboys could make it a long day for the Niners, and the Niners could potentially bop out of some things. They could potentially go into different coverages and different looks and all that stuff, which, they haven't really been running a whole lot of this year. This scheme has really done them such a good job. I think you were talking about how, Boyd up the gut and then T. Higgins over the middle. It's actually a dagger concept that they'd say. I haven't played football in a minute. I've studied a lot of things overall. It also helps with guys like Tony Romo, Chris Collinsworth, and those guys have they've done ridiculous amounts of research. This is their job. They've played the game and all that stuff, and we're nowhere near close to that because the only difference between them and us is the amount of more of technology access they have compared to us, and their minds for the game playing football. But that dagger concept is a divide route divide route from the inside drags. It drags the middle hook defender. So I talked about how the two safeties drop, and then this linebacker kind of like holds right where the safeties drop from. If you have a stack, right? If you have a stack, I wish I had a video where I could show this. But if you have a stack, in this game, it looked as though like it could be like this. CeeDee Lamb runs up the gut and tries to get that Tampa 2 defender, that hook zone defender, to occupy. And then that allows an underneath route, which would be a dig route in that case. It would still be a deeper route. It would allow Amari Cooper to have an open 10 or 15 yard play right there. And it would just shred up the defense, if done consistently. Obviously, you're not going to call the same play call every single time. This is the National Football League, and there's thousands of plays. But, being able to see similar stuff, it's a copycat league. So, the Cowboys could take advantage of that. Their receiving core is one of the best in football. They have a very good receiving core overall, even without Michael Gallup as their number 3. Cedric Wilson has stepped in. He's done a good job. So they could still do it though, and they, as a run game, I think they have a better run game than we do. We have a very good running back in Joe Mixon, who can, 1,200 yard rusher and all that stuff. But I think depth wise, they have a better run game, which they could, try to exploit with the Niners overall. And then I think we're switching up to the Niners on offense. Obviously, we said run the football and all that stuff, but they like to run a lot of zone scheme passes and all that stuff. Like they'll try to Jimmy G will hold on to the ball for a little bit and try to read what a defender does over top. And then a defender bites, and then Jimmy G pulls it, and then he'll throw a little zone concept over. It's kind of like an RPO, like a run pass option. So, Jimmy G just able to make smart, quick decisions while letting routes develop. And I think the Niners win if that happens.
I really hope we get to see the real Jimmy G, because sometimes I just don't know what he's thinking. But I think we'll get a really close matchup with both of them, especially everything you said, and then I added on. It's a solid matchup, especially looking into it in that depth. It is going to be a really good on both sides of the ball. But I think, with what you were saying, if it does come down to it and that 49ers D does do the mofo, we gave them the answer. That's if they listen or not to us. I think that's really the only thing, because that was the only thing that worked for us in the end. And we still didn't win, but the only thing that got us to overtime.
Yep, and that's also part of the play calling. If they want to take shots and try to break apart that zone, that scheme, then you could see some success earlier on in the game and try to get a lead and be more successful in the game. Play calling is a huge thing when it comes to that, and understanding some of those concepts, especially as a coordinator. So, Niners Cowboys, we'll give you the pick. Once we're done with these next two games we're talking about, NBC and Peacock has the 8:15 matchup on Sunday Night Football. It is the 7-seeded Pittsburgh Steelers and the 2-seeded Chiefs. They're 12-5. The Steelers are 9-7-1. That tie actually helped them against Detroit, believe it or not. Which that I think in everybody's book was a loss, but they were able to squeak in and make the playoffs. And Big Ben's career is not over yet. But after the comments he made of sarcasm, I think his career might be over on Sunday.
Talk about a 1 in a million chance, because oh my gosh, I remember talking to you about the Bengals playoff chance, and I was like, I want such a specific team, and there's I think the Bengals had at one point leading up to that week 7 different teams we could have played. I know at least 6 that I can remember. And all the possibilities, Colts being out, Steelers in, was not one of the ones that anybody thought. That tie saved their season, along with the Big Ben thing. Yeah, I don't think his comments are helping anything. I think some comments fuel people, like Burrow gets fueled off of certain comments, especially by certain teams that look like a weird-looking bird. But
and a weird-looking coordinator. Nah, that's a little far.
Man, we'll just fire them up more with the whole thing. But
I think we are.
But with the Steelers, the thing I thought really could help a lot, as much as Big Ben's not helping, is that it is most likely his last game. Especially, I think I was just reading about it. They lost 36-10 last time they played the Chiefs, and that wasn't long ago. That's not very far in the past. So that was how they matched up with just a few weeks ago. And I think the Chiefs are still playing just the same. And I think the Steelers have gotten a little bit better, but I don't really see – I'm really trying to give every benefit of the doubt to the Steelers I can think of. And there's not much. It is Big Ben's probably last game. And Juju's not dancing on the logo, so those are good.
That's a good thing there. And
That's positives.
I think he actually returned back to practice, believe it or not, today.
Really? Now that's something I did not see.
I think he got off the IR and all that stuff. So one or the other, But he's probably still in rehab dancing on logos. So. Could be. I don't know. No idea with him. But yeah, looking at what happened in that game, Ben Roethlisberger was 23 for 35, 159, a touchdown and an interception against the Chiefs. And the other quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, who we saw 2 weeks ago, 23 for 30, 258, 3 touchdowns, no picks. He had Tyreek Hill, didn't have a whole week of practice because he was in COVID protocols, was able to play, didn't do a whole lot. He had 2 catches for 19 yards, and they had no Travis Kelce that game. So Mahomes is still able to pick them apart overall. I don't think that he's going to have a whole lot of problems. I think the only problem they would have is the potential pressure that TJ Watt, the 22 and a half sack leading master in the National Football League, that's going to be the best bet for the Steelers, is sending some pressure. I think, four-man, trying to beat with a four-man rush overall. This is the Steelers in the playoffs. They seem to be a different team in the playoffs overall. Like, I think
Agree.
the Steelers are going to give it all. I think they are going to give it all on Sunday night. Who knows what the score will be, but I believe that they're going to literally leave it all on the field on Sunday night.
Agree. I'm trying to think of some. Obviously, what we were just saying is all very true. Trying to boil it down to three key factors that the Steelers could potentially make an upset. And I think you said it perfect. Watt, this would be the time for him to really show why he's the leader in sacks, because they're going to need that in every way. And then if Big Ben, he's just been so on and off this season, like some kind of highs. And then there's like, as you've seen, like, we've seen a couple tributes from the Bengals pages that aren't so kind to him, where he just looks like he's just out of gas and it's only like the third quarter.
Yeah.
I think after this, he will be out of gas, because if he retires after this game. So I think we'll see a bit of a resurgence from Ben, just everything he can do to win, because he seemed fired up after he found out that they're going to be in the playoffs. So hopefully for the Steelers, the three best things: Watt trying to get to Mahomes as much as possible, even if that just means 3 sacks or something, just something to get the defense fired up. Big Ben's resurgence, playing like it's Big Ben's last game. And then Najee has been pretty solid all season. I feel like that gets overlooked a lot just because of the Steelers. Most of the mid-season performances weren't super great. If Najee can go off, just stiff arming everybody in his way, just give Creed Humphrey just a big stiff arm to the face. I think those are their 3 best things. I know it's a long shot for them, but if you looked it down and had to break it down into like an NFL report, the 3 biggest things, I think that's a good place to start.
I agree with every point right there, honestly. I mean, the Steelers are going to have to try to get Najee Harris going overall. Najee Harris in that game was 19 carries for 93 yards. I mean, 4.9 yards a carry. I think they're going to have to commit to the run game. I think they're going to have to get him about 25 to 30 touches. And like the resurgence of Big Ben, his experience in the playoffs is going to have to show. And he's going to make some tough throws. He made some tough throws last week against the Ravens in week 18, to push them down the field and have the game-winning field goal from Chris Boswell. So it's not impossible for the Steelers to do that. It's not impossible for them to win this game. It's definitely not impossible for TJ Watt to get after the quarterback. He's been so magnificent at doing that this year in his entire career. So those are 3 things where I think where we both agree where they can try to cause some ruckus and some damage right there. And with the Chiefs, I mean, Mahomes, balanced offensive attack. They can run the football. He can make some plays down the field. Teams have really been trying to take away the big play overall, or the big plays when it comes to them. But they're just so consistent when it comes to, Travis Kelce's involvement, Tyreek Hill's presence on the outside, McCole Hardman, Pringle downfield, the plethora of running backs they have. They've just been so good at it, and Mahomes is able to, to just deal the ball out like that. I think with that, taking what the defense gives them is going to be a huge thing. The Steelers, they like to blitz a little bit, not as much as they would in the past, but they still like to blitz a lot and play a lot of cover 1, which would be 1 high safety, and play a lot of man-to-man. That's going to be tough to do when it comes to playing against Travis Kelce and all that. I mean, Tyreek Hill, speed can keep up with speed, but size and athleticism is a whole nother animal to guard, especially with Travis Kelce having that speed as well. And just, he's such a smooth route runner. He's a really good route runner overall. I mean, he's a big guy playing wide receiver is all it is.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. That's pretty much all it is. I know we could give 3 key points for the Chiefs, but honestly, they just need to play like the Chiefs. Like, just how they did against us would be more than enough. But yeah, keep Tyreek downfield. Hardman does his thing. Mahomes just play like Mahomes. The Steelers' biggest thing would try to make the Chiefs look like whatever that rut they went through, like week 2 through 5, when they were sitting at like 3-4 record.
Yep.
All those things, they need to make them look like that, and the Steelers need to look like how they did against the Ravens times 2. That will be the way, only the way I think they can pull this off. But yeah, if the Chiefs just play even similar and do half the things you just said, it's probably going to be a pretty easy win for them.
Yep, the Chiefs just got to be the Chiefs, and that's just how it's been the last 4 years, and we can just say, that, and they can literally turn on in the click of a button, and they can just just become the Kansas City Chiefs once again. So that's Steelers Chiefs right there, and I'm going to tell you, I mean, obviously we talked about the Niners and the Cowboys being such a good game, but man, we've got another part 3 for a divisional matchup on the first ever Monday night playoff game. Cardinals 11-6, Rams 12-5. Kyler Murray's first ever playoff game. Matt Stafford looking for his first ever playoff win. Pressure is on for Stafford. What do you think the Rams have to do to be successful on Monday night?
I'll say just how you were fired up for the 49ers in Dallas. That's how I feel about this one and that one too. But this one I am just so excited for. Rams and Cardinals, to me, are both such outliers in how they play. The Cardinals seem to show up in the weirdest times possible because, like, against the Colts and against the last couple of games they've played, that is just not the Cardinals team. And like the Lions loss.
Yep.
I was looking at the injury report. Really, besides Hopkins, not enough was missing to be that. So for the Rams to beat them, let's see, Stafford, I don't even want to jinx it, but Stafford just needs to play how we believe a Stafford would play in the playoffs on a good team. We've never seen that before. The Lions team that made the playoffs, they were fine, but we need to see Stafford in the playoffs, which is an exciting thing enough. So we'll boil it down to Stafford playoff mode. We'll do number 1. Mm-hmm. 2, I mean, the Rams really just are good at everything. I'd say we'll look to the backfield defensively. Just is Hopkins good to go?
I believe he's good to go.
Okay. Stopping him and Kirk would be of best interest because kind of like we were saying too, you got to give all these games a different emphasis. These are playoff and then that person. We have playoff Kyler Murray for the first time ever. That can be a whole different thing. We have Burrow playoff, that is a whole different thing. So I'd say for the Rams, number 1, playoff Stafford, how we believe he should play, and then stopping Kirk and Hopkins, number 2. And then Rams, let's see, Rams number 3. We'll just say just being the Rams that they've been almost in every single game. Just when the defense is good, it is so good. And when Kupp is good, he's so good. They just occasionally will have an off day on one part. Like I remember a lot watching Kupp in fantasy, and it'd be like good, and then just nothing, and then good, and then nothing. Just really random spurts. So I think if the Rams offensively, if they can get the ball downfield too, as much as they need to stop Kirk and Hopkins on defense, I think they need to also be explosive down the field on offense. That would be my top 3.
I agree. I mean, that's actually the number 1 thing I have right here, explosive plays. I mean, Stafford missed on a couple of those last week against the Rams. He plays for the Rams, the Niners. So, he missed on a couple of those. It's kind of that's how the game ended with the Niners interception to clinch the playoff berth for them. But I see a lot of play action pass will be there. The run game is going to be nice to have, but a lot of play action will be there, and being able to take the top off the defense with Cooper Kupp and as well Odell Beckham Jr. and Van Jefferson. So explosive plays, huge play action will be there. And like you said, on defense, they gotta stop Hopkins and Kirk and our guy AJ Green. We get to see AJ Green in the playoffs, and we also get to see Joe Burrow in the playoffs. I mean, we get to see it. It's a Bengals reunion weekend, man. This is something.
I don't know how I forgot to say AJ. I think my
Well,
mind just didn't want to think of him on another playoff team.
I know,
I think I was blocking it out mentally.
I mean, I honestly forgot about it too until the receivers were mentioned. I was like, he's actually hasn't had that bad of a year as a 2 or a 3, but yeah, I mean, we always love AJ. We'll always love him. But yeah, with that, the Rams being able to toy coverages with Kyler Murray and being able to fool some stuff, teams in the playoffs, I tell you, like from what I've heard all over the place and on TV and from what players and coaches have said, there are some completely new packages that they throw out in the playoffs that teams have not seen those guys run in the regular season before. And for a first-time quarterback in the playoffs like Kyler Murray and how dynamic and unique he is as a player, that's going to be one thing he needs to watch out for. And if anybody can do it with the talent they have, it's the Rams. Jalen Ramsey on the outside, Aaron Donald on the inside, Von Miller on the edge. I mean, talk about experience and what's going on?
I just realized something. I don't know how two names you said. We got Ramsey against AJ Green.
Oh my God, you're right. In the playoffs.
When you said that, wow.
Talk about a long road to come to this point. I mean, those guys, I mean, he probably won't be covering AJ, but still, I mean, he's on the same field opposite of him. I mean,
let's just hope his wife doesn't get brought up. Oh my gosh.
Let's hope not. Wow, that came full circle.
Yeah, when you said that, my mind just went blank, and Jacksonville Bengals, 2017?
Yeah, 2017.
I just couldn't stop.
That random day in November, like what the heck? That was oh my gosh, that was a blast from the past.
We'll add that. We'll add that in keys for both teams, both ways. Keeping AJ in the game, keeping Ramsey in the game.
Keeping them away from each other.
Keeping them away from each other. Or if one's having a good game, make the other one get ejected. I mean, it is football. It is football.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But when you said that, my mind.
Oh my gosh, that flew over my head though. I completely forgot about that situation. I didn't even think about that situation that happened. Wow. But yeah, I mean, that's going to be like their defensive backs and the receivers is going to be a hell of a showdown to look at. And when it comes to the Cardinals on, their keys to success, when we see playoff Stafford, there's been times where he's been fooled as a quarterback, when it comes to some coverages and all that stuff. The Cardinals, they have some very good pieces in the back end. They have some good guys up front. In zone coverage, help the helper, I would say. There's always going to be one guy that's able to help overall and, kind of close gaps for Stafford and throwing. Number 2, I'd say, is balanced offense. They can run the football at James Conner, and he's back now, all right? They can also have Chase Edmonds do some things as well. They also have Kyler Murray, who runs like a toddler that stole some candy from, a Halloween party. So they can get him out and going and letting Kyler Murray make some plays in space throwing the football as well is going to be very big. And then I would say, I think we mentioned Christian Kirk and, even like Rondale Moore and all that. Attack the slots. That's the Rams' weak spot of their defense that has been very good this year. They're good on the outside. They're good up front, somewhat on the back end, but over the middle and in those slots, they'll be able to make some shots overall and try to make this one a shootout.
I completely agree, and great point with the slot. I've been big on Kirk all season. I just think he's a lot better than he gets credit for. But and with that being their weakness too, AJ, and let him take Hopkins, double, triple guard, quadruple guard, doesn't matter. let them do that and take Kirk AJ, just those little routes, kind of like Bengal routes is all I can think of now since you mentioned it, like a Boyd and Higgy routes. Just let them take that and just run with that all day long if you need to. Hopkins explosive plays is bound to happen, but if that gets completely shut down, just take it with Kirk and with AJ too, and more too.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I completely agree. And that's going to be one heck of a nightcap for and super wild card weekend. Cap on that big event, and it's going to be in Los Angeles. I know I've been pushing picks away from all of that, but that's our final game. So we're going to go back up to the start where it all begins. The biggest and most anxious game of the day for us, Raiders Bengals. We're 2 days away from the game. We're about, roughly, we're less than 48 hours from kickoff. How you feeling?
Yeah, if excited and anxious could be combined, we've been talking about this all week.
Yes, we have.
I think more excited. I think it's time. I told you and the whole chat, I wanted the Raiders. I'm happy about that. We got the team that I think most of us wanted. So we can live with the result either way. We didn't get stuck with like a JT playoff push Colts or something like that. And we didn't get screwed over. We got the team we wanted. So I'm really excited and I'm content with the matchup, to say the least. The game, we'll see how content we are with that.
Well, we're gonna try to be oracles here. What's your pick? What are you thinking right now?
I'm gonna say last time we beat them by 19, so we were in Vegas. I'm trying to add it all up. I'm gonna go. We win 31-21, 10-point game. Close, but not enough to give us a heart attack, though.
I would love not to have a heart attack in the stadium like that proverbial heart attack. That is. I'm going to agree with you on the Bengals breaking the curse of Bo Jackson. That actually happened 31 years ago today. Cincy Problems posted that. And, I think, I would love to say that I've been a person that just goes into the deep realms looking at how to just divide hexes and try to reverse curses and have a bunch of wizardry and warlock and try to do some type of concoction to take this thing out of there. But no, not. We're just going to play football and we're going to see what happens. I think the Bengals will get this thing done. I'm gonna say 27-20. I think I think the Raiders will keep it close, but I think we're gonna be in it to like crunch time. I think the Bengals will have a not a huge lead, but like a sustainable margin. The Raiders will kind of get back in, but then we'll be able to make a play down the stretch, and I think we'll be able to win this game.
I think for football fans that aren't fans of either team, it'll be kind of a lackluster ending where it's like it was almost a comeback, but obviously for us, thank God it wasn't. I think that's what I'm going with too. I think we end the game on defense. Whether it be a big play on defense to lead to kneel downs or whether it's just Raiders. I keep imagining it like Raiders like on the 20-yard line, like 2 minutes left, and they just never get it going downfield. That's kind of what I was thinking too.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree. I would love to see that come to life on Saturday evening for sure. And then Brady, who was not on the show, he predicts that the Bengals will take down the Raiders. Didn't give me a score prediction, but hey, good enough if we just beat them and have no score prediction. I'm cool with that. Cool with it. And then we're on to the Patriots Bills. Talked about it earlier. Got to sit on it for a minute. Brady started off with the Bills. He likes the Bills in this one. I'm going to go on ahead and go with the Bills as well. I think they've gotten over whatever the playoff woes were in the past. They broke that streak last year and they were able to win a couple playoff games and get to the AFC Championship. They're a very, very good football team that's getting hot at the right time. And I'm going to go with the Bills on top. I think it's going to come down to a last-second play. I think it's going to be 2017.
I like that. I like what both of you said. I'm going to go with the Bills too, so we'll make it 3 for 3.
All
I
right.
think they are what we hope to be in 3 or 4 years. They have no playoff woes anymore. I think that's all gone.
That's
I think when
yeah.
Josh Allen came, the AFC Championship run, I don't think about that at all. I think it'll be honestly similar to last game, hopefully more fun, but I would take the Bills prime Josh Allen in the playoffs. What a thrill to watch. We'll go 27-17. Another 10-point game.
Could definitely see it. I mean, that's what happened basically the second time they played each other in a friendlier environment when it comes to climate. So, it is Western New York. It is off of Lake Erie. We'll see what the conditions are Saturday. I don't think they're supposed to be very friendly when it comes to that, but good enough for a Bills win. Going on to Sunday, the Eagles and the Bucks. We talked about, the underdog status. There's actually 2 underdog games we were talking about with the Steelers as well as a 7th seed. Eagles, Bucks. How we feel?
I'd love to be that guy that just calls the biggest upset. You have playoff Brady, and what we've actually mentioned a couple times, like differences in a person or a player in the regular season and in the playoffs. Brady's probably at minimum top 2 or 3 of all time to ever just completely switch it. Like last season, they were like they had a good enough record to get in the playoffs, but they didn't win the division.
Yep.
They weren't absolutely like this stellar team that everyone knew for sure. But then that playoff mode came in and they beat the Saints, who they lost to twice. They just switch it on. Jalen Hurts and the Eagles, I don't know if you can really see that like switch turning on. We hope so. I hope Jalen Hurts is like a Nick Foles or something in the playoffs. I would love to see it, but I don't see it happening this Sunday or Saturday. I don't see it happening this weekend. So we'll go 34-24. Another 10-point. That's just kind of coming to me. 34-24,
There you go.
the Bucks winning.
Well, they're all playoff teams. They're all good in their right mind overall. Like you said, Tom Brady somehow just has that switch that he can just turn on, when it comes to the playoffs. And that's a very scary thing to face. It's a very scary thing to see. And I'm going to agree with you on the result, obviously, with the Bucks winning this one. I'm going to say, not as, Eagles fans look away. 31-14 Bucks. And then Brady agrees with the Bucks on this one. I don't think I need a score prediction on that for him. When it comes to the Niners and the Cowboys, that game 4:30 on CBS. It's on a bunch of different networks: CBS, Paramount Plus, Prime Video, and Nickelodeon. Just
America's
loaded.
Team.
America's team, America's networks, America's just America. It's a 4th of July party in MLK weekend. So this one I've been thinking about for a minute. I'll just say it. Brady's going to take the Cowboys in this one. Man, I don't think I agree with Brady. I'm going to go with the Niners. I think the Niners are going to win 26-23 in overtime. It's going to be a game-winning field goal from Robbie Gould. That's the score that the Bengals lost in overtime to the Cowboys, and I think the Cowboys are going to get that same treatment.
I agree 100% on the 49ers, and I think they're not a team that you see they're not a team I truly believe that would ever beat anybody by a lot in the playoffs as they are right now. I like the overtime. I like that a lot, and I'll just match you, Chase, with that. I think that exact same thing could happen, and I really hope it does now because we would be the smartest podcast in the world.
I think
exact same score and all. I'll take your slate.
I think we'll be getting calls from CBS and Nickelodeon if that's the case. So we can
we might get slimed.
Yeah, we might get slimed and might sign a contract too. But here, the next game, Steelers and the Chiefs. So Brady is a Steelers fan, but he's a bigger Ohio State fan. He's got the Chiefs. That's just all we have to say. He's got the Chiefs in this one. What are your thoughts?
Brady's very smart, I can tell. I think barring any of the Steelers things, which I would love to see for them, as much as we, aren't supposed to like, I'd love to see it close. I can't really in good conscience see, and especially just if they would have kept it close a few weeks ago, we'd have something to go off of. But I just can't really think of anything they've done or the Chiefs have lost since that. And then putting the Chiefs and Arrowhead in the playoffs, trying to get back and win the Super Bowl. I see something like an odd score of like 36 to, we'll give the Steelers some more points, 36-21. That's kind of being friendly too. That's pretty friendly.
I mean, yeah. And I honestly, I'm going to agree about with that score. I'm going to say, I'm going to give it a weird one of 33-22.
Ooh, I like
You know,
that. I like
see,
that.
like when it comes to that, I think it's going to be a closer game, but I think the Chiefs are just going to score a touchdown like later on, like one of those little like those score like you said before with the 10-point games where it's like kind of come back, but then it just kind of just fades away. And
Always some garbage points in there too.
I think that's where most of those are going to come into play. So I'm going to say weird 33-22. Stacked a couple numbers on top of each other, and that's my score. So that's how we feel about this Steelers and Chiefs game. Will be a little closer than last time, and that Monday night game. That's a big one. I'll start off and give Brady's prediction. He has the Cardinals breaking the rubber match. I'll let you get the last one. I'm going to go on ahead and I'm going to say I have no prediction yet. So I'm just going to think of it on the fly. I'm going to go I'm going to go and say that the Rams are going to win this one, and I think it's going to be a very, very good football game. I'm going to go 34-31.
I think with what you said and what I'm guessing Brady said, it really is one of those that can go either way. I don't think anyone out there is willing to bet an absurd amount of money on this one.
Yeah.
I just have the Rams in the NFC Championship, so I got to roll with them. I have them playing the Bucs in the NFC Championship, if that's possible. I haven't looked bracket-wise. Man, but you really don't. It's one of those. It could go either way. I wouldn't be like, oh man, I can't believe I got that wrong. Yeah. I'll go Rams 33-31, and like one of those like shootouts to the end. Field goal wins it from like 54.
All right. Well, remember the 54. 54. We'll remember the field goal like that. We got to remember the spot.
Man, if that's right, we'll sign with some network next week. Earliest next Monday.
We're gonna take Monday Night Football.
Earliest next Tuesday. We're
gonna take Monday Night Football over and get slimed on like on Wednesdays and all that. So that would be one heck of a trip right there. But yes, got our picks through, got the analysis all through. Brady, hope you're getting better and all that stuff.
Feel better,
Ben. Thanks for coming on, man. It was a pleasure having you on. And make sure to check out his podcast, just a couple of the episodes that he has out right now. Ballin' with Ben podcast can be found on Spotify, Apple Podcast, uses Anchor. I used to use Anchor with that. I still produce some of the stuff, but he's got a very nice podcast on there. So go check him out, give him some love on that. But Ben, great having you on the show.
Chase, absolute biggest pleasure, brother. Thanks for the shout out. And Who Day, baby. Let's go.
Who Day on Saturday, not Sunday, but we got the point. All right, everybody. We will catch you guys another time, and thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, guys.